Our hearts go out to everybody in East Lansing, across Michigan, and, well, anywhere affected by the latest shooting, this time at Michigan State University last evening. 3 people lost their lives while attending their university. 5 others in critical condition before the shooter killed himself.
Horrible.
It is horrible. It's really weird. We've never talked about it, but I have my own. This is really sad. I have rules in my brain for when we talk about a mass shooting because there are so many.
Yeah, there are. There are a lot.
And this isn't a gun control conversation. This isn't a mental health conversation. Just as we said one of the last times we addressed it, it's a we have done nothing conversation.
It keeps happening.
Collectively, both parties sit around. The government says this is bad, and then nothing happens.
No,
and it's because we don't force them to do anything.
Nope.
And but yeah, in my mind, like I have this little checklist when I get up and I see on my phone that something horrific has happened that used to shake me to my core. And it still does, but we all know it's not the same. For me at least, I shouldn't speak for everybody else, but there are students at least one student's already, it's already been confirmed that they went through a school shooting when they were in high school at Oxford High School in Southeast Michigan, and now another one at college. If that person chooses to persevere in a line of education or anywhere that takes them outside the house, kudos to them, because I might be ready to go. You know what? I think I'll be a shut-in at that point.
Well,
every time I leave my home, something bad happens. It'd be hard. I know that's not true, but it'd be hard not to think, what am I doing? You know?
Well, it used to be that you never thought you'd know anybody. Like they were, they were spread out far enough, like even when Columbine happened, you're like, wow, that's really bad. I guess that could happen anywhere, but you didn't really think it would.
It would never happen to me, or it would never happen here.
And now we all do at various times. Like my niece was at Oxford High School when it got shot up.
Well, and I'm sure
it happened next to my hometown.
Yeah.
I know many people that were affected by this, and now we actually have like
2 people that were in
person separated, and then you worry about your own kids now.
2 people in my first wedding have gotten a call from their children saying there's I'm okay, but I'm sure you saw there's a shooter at my school. 2 people. And obviously that's nothing compared to people who've actually had losses in their families and everything else. But it's I turned on the news sometime last week before the show. Like when I get out of the shower, I have the device do a news update, and one of their first stories was about an update on the trial, or how it was going to go to trial for someone who had been involved in a mass shooting. And I actually sat there for a second. I go, I don't know which one that is.
No, they happen every day.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Like that one, the one at Michigan State was on the 5-year anniversary of the one in Parkland, which was in Colorado. Not far from where other, Littleton, Colorado, where there was the shooting at the Dark Knight premiere, and from Columbine.
Yeah.
Parkland was Florida.
Parkland was Florida, so I didn't have any of that right.
And that was where it killed
that
17,
was,
injured 17.
Yeah. Nothing. It's so frustrating. So, I don't know how to fix it. Obviously, I'm not sitting here telling anybody like, hey, this is how you do it. I don't know. But not doing anything doesn't seem to be doing it.
Well, as long as we just keep having those thoughts, then and prayers, that's working out.
Well, and where we sit
That's
too, what we hear a lot is you have a microphone and you should be saying something. And there are days like today where it feels wrong not to. Maybe it's because it hits so close to home. Maybe it's because we've all gotten so numb to it. But it does take some thought, like you were saying, that checklist that goes through your head on, do we talk about it? And when we do, how do we do it without making people feel like we're trying to be woke or making people brand the conversation as you're just getting political or whatever? No, I'm just a human being who is seeing this on the news again, and I want it to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want that to be my kids one day. I don't want it to be me.
Yeah.
Or anybody else I know, or anybody else I don't know.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I mean, yeah, is it, the guns? Is it mental health? Whatever. It's a whole lot of different things. But, everybody, you'll get these talking points. I was like, we got to do this. Okay, sounds great. Yeah, we got to work on mental health. Yeah, that's a good idea. And then nobody does anything.
How about both?
Like, why don't you do something?
Yeah.
Then do it. Like,
Yeah.
then establish more mental health programs in different areas or do this or that. I mean, help people out so that maybe they don't get to that
And don't
point
make
where
it-
they want to do this crap. Like,
When they talk about gun control, most Americans who own guns support some form of gun control. I don't think, this whole they're going to take away our guns. No, they're not. It would be impossible, first of all.
It would be impossible.
It would be
at this point,
impossible.
but-
What, they'd send the military door to door to get 450 million guns out of the country
Yeah.
that are known, and no one wants that. Well,
And there
some
are-
people probably want. I don't want that.
There are millions and millions of more people who are safe with guns, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
These gun owners that are safe. I don't know the numbers of people who own guns in this country, but
Wow.
my fiance has guns. He hunts. That's how we get our meat. Like, it's a thing that he does as not necessarily even a sport, but something he's grown up doing and loves.
Sure.
I am not afraid in his house when he is talking to me about going out and during hunting seasons. It doesn't make me feel afraid of having a gun around him. But there are certain people in my life that I know who are friends that I would definitely say, you should not have a gun. Like,
Right.
you are an angry drunk and like you are kind of a mean person or you get really mad over small things.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not the type to have that. And then there are people who actually commit these crimes, like what we're seeing, how did you get a gun? Like, how did you do that? Who thought that that was okay? And then what got you to the point where you're on a college campus targeting people that we're not even sure if they're connected at all? And
Yeah.
if they are, what brought you there? Like, let's fully understand that picture before we get all political, like, oh, they're just trying to take our guns away. Like, you're just trying to wash out what's really happening with that blanketed statement. Like, let's
And, yeah.
really
Yeah,
talk
let's
about
just have
it.
And who
Like,
knows?
really talk
Let's
about
make.
it.
Yeah, let's have something happen.
And certainly there could have been nothing that could have been done to stop that.
Yeah.
That's obvious. But
Sure.
this does happen more here than
It only
anywhere
happens
else.
here.
I mean, that's I believe indisputable. Maybe I'm sure somebody will go, no, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Everything's disputable. I shouldn't say anything is indisputable. Everything in this day and age is disputable. But here we are again.
Mhm.
So again, our heart goes out to everybody in the Michigan State community, in East Lansing, across Michigan, everywhere else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous. I could read some of the comments. There's a lot. I mean, listen, I'm seeing here's a collection of the comments. Fatherless children are a huge part of it. Sure.
Could be.
That I think that's difficult. Any parent trying to raise their kids alone is going to make it more difficult. But that is not the single.
Plenty of shooters
Problem.
have fathers, though, too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not solely an issue.
Yeah.
Like, solely the issue. Yeah, it's not helpful.
This one, there's religion being taken out of schools. There's no fear of a higher power anymore. Well,
That has nothing
I
to do with
respect
it,
your
anyway.
opinion, but we are one of the most Christian and religious countries in the world, and it still happens here more than other places.
Yeah. And it's been happening.
With or
here.
without God, you can have morals, and that this isn't really a moral issue. And there are plenty of very religious people who also kill people, like that. I mean, I don't think it has to do.
And also, a lot of
and also-
shootings are targeting religious or
also,
religious.
also, I went to
sacred
public.
places.
I went to public schools in the 1970s and 80s. It wasn't like we started every day worshiping Jesus. Like I
Right.
didn't go. Like I went to a public school. We didn't
Right.
do that.
No.
Like that had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
But I grew up with morals.
Right.
I mean, and yes, we went to church, and stuff. I mean, I grew up in a Christian household, but that, I learned my morals just from my parents. Not
I don't
from-
think the only reason you
No.
didn't go shoot someone, though, was because you didn't want to go to hell.
Right. No, that's not why people do anything. I mean, if you've got a mental health issue, you're not sitting there going, well, I mean, I'm a lunatic, but hell, so I better not.
I'm seeing a lot of things like this. We spend $80 billion to help Ukraine, but we can't do anything. Look, we can find money for anything that's important.
Right.
We had a $900 billion defense budget.
Yeah, sending money to Ukraine is just the latest place we send things to. I
Yeah.
mean, this has gone on forever. You pick a country, we've sent money to them. Yeah, that's really it's a separate issue. Whether or not we should be doing that is a totally different issue.
And I don't know what to say to that either, because God, I just I couldn't imagine being in Ukraine and being a day-to-day human being and being completely my narrative is being controlled by two governments at war, and I'm a citizen, and that's it. I want to help. I want to do that too. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how to say. Well, I don't know those numbers. I don't know that part of the.
No, that's a whole it's a whole
Like,
different conversation.
right.
I mean, one doesn't have to do with the other.
Right. I want to save people
So.
there just as much as I want to save people here. And I also want these shootings to stop here. It just seems like, again, it just all gets classified under people being afraid about gun control when we just need to be able to talk more openly about it
Yeah.
without immediately going down that same road.
Somebody said, no laws are going to stop an individual who wants to do harm to others. That's always, I agree with you at the very base of that statement. Then let's not have laws against rape. Then let's not have laws against
Against anything.
vehicular homicide. Let's not have laws against speeding, because if you really want to speed, no law is going to stop you, and you may be endangering the family.
Yeah, I mean, that's all true.
So you don't just not try
Right.
because the law itself can't, do everything you can to make it better. And again, if it feels like I'm lecturing, I don't mean it to be. We're just the ones that have the microphone.
Yeah.
I mean,
We talk
I don't know
about
what
the
to
things that
do.
are on our minds sometimes, and this happens to be what's on our mind this morning because it's close to home.
Some are saying blame the video games. There were school shootings before
It's
video
not
games were prominent.
video games.
I mean, we can blame all sorts of
I mean,
things.
video games.
I think one person who said there's so many. It's true for some. Somebody said there's so many young men that feel alone and have been taught to not embrace their emotions and feel isolated. That's true, but this shooter, at least from what they're reporting, is a 49-year-old man.
But he might have been an isolated person too.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Mental health. It comes in so many different forms. It is different for everybody. And if you are at a place in your life where you can, again, walk onto a campus and take lives like that from innocent people, I can't imagine what is going through your mind. I don't know mentally how it gets there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think this is a great text. And there are lots of great texts that are coming in. It says, the issue isn't mental health in general. It's mental health conversations in the household. We have so many parents with limited support raising kids while they still have their own mental health issues, and no one knows how to cope. Like that's that's one of the things they talk about is, well, my dad never said I love you. Well, his dad never stopped hitting him. So for him, that was a big improvement.
Right.
And I'm not talking about my family.
Yes.
But actually, I kind of could be. My dad says I love you all the time now, but probably not till he was 65 years old when we started saying it to him, and it kind of broke down those generational barriers. He never doubted that his father loved him, and I don't doubt it either. But his dad also would smack him in the head and whip his ass if he did something wrong.
And in that way, that isolation is very different from the type of isolation you can feel today, where you can get swallowed into a world and digitally and see all these people doing all these things. You can find the narrative that you want. If you want to be angry at the world, you can sit alone and keep your mind going deeper and deeper into a really bad place. And that's what a digital world has done too. And it gives people a hell of a lot more access.
I know I just said you
things
can't
they
blame
need.
all of these things, but man, I think the internet has really pressed the gas.
Oh man.
Oh,
but it's also exposed
and
how
social
bad
media
question.
and everything else.
But there's good sides to it too, because it exposes how bad this is. It gives people access to the information they need to potentially fight it. Like there's good and bad in all of it. It's overwhelming and it's really sad. And I don't know. We're on in Lansing, and it just felt like, I'm glad you said something.
Well, there we solved everything. I say that very tongue in cheek. Obviously, it solves nothing.
Well, it's good to have conversations about it, though. I mean, you watch the news or whatever, and all you're going to get is stupid talking points from whichever side. It's
blame.
It's like, oh yeah, well, it's this, and take all the guns away, or it's You just want to take the guns away and that won't solve the problem. Okay, great. End of segment, and now we're done. Because it's always the same dumb talking points instead of an
Sure.
actual
Yeah.
conversation about something. Like, we're all right, here's the problem. So how do we fix it? And let's talk about it rather than just say, you can't take my guns. Yeah, okay, I got it. Or you have to take all the guns. Yeah, I got it.
And
Now
maybe
let's have a real conversation.
and maybe we convince somebody with that stubborn, one statement mentality to say, okay, wait. And if we caused one person to pause
Mm-hmm.
and potentially say, I could have a conversation like this,
Mm-hmm.
then we did something right. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this helps change a tone. I don't know. I'm hoping if somebody's listening in Lansing that they found comfort in hearing this. I don't know.
I want to read this one real quick. We're running late, but we'll do it anyway. As someone who works in law enforcement, it's a bit of nature versus nurture the way we often see it. Some people are bleeped in the head from the start because of whatever situation they were born into.
Yeah.
And some people are pushed to that point. Some people do things because, and I know this sounds terrible, they have no other options. To use a very out of proportion example, I've seen a guy get released from jail and immediately try to steal a CO's car in the parking lot just because it's winter, he was homeless, and he had at least the basics in jail. That guy didn't want to be a criminal, but he had nothing. Some of these shooters are pushed to it by reasons they've created in their own mind or other people have given them. And again, sometimes they're just bleeped from the start. Some people just want to kill, and that's the battle. And that's why I think that's all pretty accurate. Well, obviously, they live
definitely.
it. And that's why there's no simple solution. But the hand-wringing and thoughts and prayers and then blaming the other side for their inactivity while offering no solutions that you are willing to put your political career on the line for is pointless.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.